get going.
Ooh,
So
GC shorts actually look
um,
nice.
day 7 of this shit. All right, so today we're just gonna go over setups. Same thing, kind of. I tried kind of live trading in the morning. There wasn't much setups. Kind of should have hopped on right at New York Open. But the main trades I took today, there was two. There was this long, Joan. What else? And this long Joan right here. I sadly missed this short, and I sadly missed this long. But these were the four I think best setups of the day in my opinion, and then this short up here, 5 setups. There was five, I'd say B/A setups today. There was five. There was this long, this short, this long, and then this short, and then this long as well. Damn, I was actually gonna say Nasdaq longs look good right now, and that shit ripped almost 30 points. Wow. Okay.
Damn.
Oh my God, gold is
In after
fucking
hours?
Yeah, gold
dumping.
is dumping.
That shit just
Yeah.
melted.
It retested the trend line and then it dumped and broke the resistance. So if we close under here, I think it'll keep going. A little more at least.
Yeah. Okay, so first setup, long. This one was a bit more risky, and I'll show you guys why it was a bit more risky. But this was trying to catch the bottom of a day for like New York Open. So if we come over here, right before a New York session even open, what's really important is knowing our pre-market highs, pre-market lows. So pre-market high first of all was up here, and then pre-market lows were actually all the way down here. So today was one of those days where I don't even like think we got near that pre-market low, right? You can see we never even got near that pre-market low. But something else is important in all this action here, and it's this area right here. This area and these areas, right? And these areas. So when it's a volatile pre-market open, it is important to note. You can see yesterday was pretty volatile. I mean, this is 304 all the way to almost 500, almost 200 point range in pre-market. So you want to know your range. You want to know your top of the ranges, bottom of the ranges, things like that. So key things to note from yesterday, right? Before we got this breakout near London, we had these previous uh, pre-market highs, and then we had our previous New York session high. This is our New York session high, pre-market highs, and we break and close, retest, hold, and get a nice move all the way to the next area of our range up here at this 418. So right off rip, now once you around this area, you could technically be looking for a short because you're still at those New York session highs. If you would have shorted off that New York session high, you might have been able to catch a small scalp, but the overall trend was bullish. You guys remember on Friday when we went over when would you start looking for longs again, right? We said once we break these highs, we start looking in bullish territory, gonna start looking for longs. And you can see ever since we did break above this area on the hourly, 4 hour, and daily, I mean it's kind of been long johns all day, and I mean it's looking pretty bullish for now. So that's why long setups have been the move. And then if you've been trying to catch tops, it's been kind of chopped. But so we get these pre-market highs and then we break in London session, right? So this 368, 380 area is going to be really important now, right? You want to note this area for a New York session because this was our previous area of resistance that has now turned to support, right? So when we come back down, we're going to see what happens. If we hold it, if not, possible dump, right? So boom, New York session opens. We get a little bit of a chop around here, around this area. Not much. If you're trading pre-market, you kind of could have lottoed a short at these highs. I personally didn't take that. I was just waiting it out. Like I said, I wanted to rather wait for the retrace and then catch the long on the retrace, right? And then we start selling off just a bit. So I start looking for my possible entry. And if we come over to our 15 and our 5, you can see both these wait, hold up, my fault. And he just texted me some bullshit.
You good? Oh, there you go. Thought you were lagging for a second. Gold is bouncing right now.
My fault. He just texted me some shit. Okay, my fault. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so these pre-market highs, we break them, boom. What we want to wait for is a retest of those highs, and for us to start holding, right? Also on the R side, you can see this 15 was actually bottomed out, and you can see this first candle was kind of indecisive. It was looking kind of bearish at first, but then this 5 minute and 1 minute started looking a little bit better. You can see I entered somewhere in this area, in this candle, this third candle, because we started breaking that high, and then I did see some red. It did look a bit cheeky, but we never fully broke that low. I had a hard stop like at 362, and if you come over to our 1 minute, you can see this. Right here, right? You can see we did make that lower low and then close above, and boom, we got this move. It was a little bit of a fake out. That's why it is good to have good entries. My entry was 392, so even though I saw a little bit of red, it wasn't enough red to like, you know, be worried about the position or like, damn, you know, if this comes out and stops me, I'm gonna be like really down on the day. So my entry was kind of in the middle of the range. I wasn't able to catch the bottom of the range, sadly. That's like right around that 392. And saw some chop, had my hard stop at that 362 area right under this key level. And then boom, we get this move to the upside. And I actually TP right at that New York session, or not New York session high, but this previous high right here. It was like at 54, so boom, that plays out. And then we dump. I sadly don't catch this dump, and then we come back up and start breaking these highs. This was another possible long entry. I tried longing on this pullback here, but I sadly wasn't able to get in. It didn't fill me. Reason being is this 5 minute was opening up during that time. This 5 minute was opening up, giving us room up, and we broke and closed above that high. That 1 minute also did reset. So this was another kind of possible chase of that breakout. I didn't catch this one. You can see that we get that reset. We hold that previous wick low, making higher lows and higher highs, and boom, we get that move. We didn't catch that. So this was the main setup of the day near New York session open that I think everybody that's trading this strategy should have taken this trade. Like Bear took this trade, I took this trade. Everybody I know that trades this strategy was looking for longs around this area. And it's just because the strategy is presenting longs there. Like this is a good possible area for longs. So boom, that happens, and then we get the second possible setup of the day that I would say was somewhat decent. We start chopping around these new highs. It's kind of in no man land. This is the main reason I didn't take this one. It was because it was right between this 464 and 557. So there was no real like area of resistance or support here. It was kind of in between both, right? And we kind of like playing the top of the ranges and bottom of the ranges instead. So on the one, it did look really good when the band started opening up and we started breaking these lows here. But it could have also just been a how's it called, a little bull flag. So that's why I didn't really want to take that short. But then we saw this in real time when we were talking about that 5 minute. If you guys remember, come over to the 5. When I said we were approaching 5 minute median, and then this thing happened here. So this is where a lot of people get tricked in the strategy, right? So we start getting a little bit of retrace, and then boom, we come to 5 minute trauma, previous highs, and a key level of support 464, right? If this next candle, imagine this next candle wasn't here, right? Oh fuck, let's cut it out. So imagine price was right here, right? Most people would be looking for longs here, including myself. But here's the thing when it comes to situations like this. You never want to prematurely enter a trade, right? Because in this case scenario, you're approaching median, you're approaching 5 minute trauma, and you're approaching your previous highs. Two things are obviously going to happen here. Either one, we're going to bounce, or two, we're going to break. Like, no shit, jackass, of course something's going to happen, one or the two, right? There's two choices. But you want to wait for confirmation of some sort to play either side. In this case, you want to wait for us to test this 5 minute trauma, test this 464 area, right? Hold these previous highs, and then start breaking this high right here at this 500, 497 area right here, right? So say we hold this and then start breaking these highs. Then I could look for my long entry and catch the upside move, right? But hypothetically speaking, say we never do that. We never did that in this scenario, and I never took this long. I mentioned this long. I was like, this is a possible long, but I didn't enter it. So it's really key to note when you see a possible setup, but the setup doesn't have the confirmation to enter the trade, right? Because it could have just been a bullish reset to median and we see more upside. Because that does happen a lot of days, especially on trend days, and it was looking like a good trend day here. But in this case, instead of that happening, what ended up happening is seller stepped in heavy, and you can see we broke right through 5 minute trauma. We broke right under those previous highs, and we closed back under that 464 area. And then another thing you can note on top of this to see that it was actually a possible top here for day, right? Look at our 5 minute, topped out, flattened out. Look at our 15 minute. At the time, this still had a little bit more room up. It was like right around this area. I remember this 15. It was right around this area, but it was flattened out. So yeah, and then boom, this candle happens. This is a big fuck you candle. And at this point, it's good. We missed that short. There was no real entry for that short. In my opinion, if you didn't catch it up here, there was no like real entry. You could have chased it on the breakup 5-minute trauma, but chases of those are really risky and you could turn into liquidity. So there was no real entry for the short. In this like dump area here, there was no entry for the short, in my opinion. There was no real entry. If you would have took it up here, there was some solid areas of entry, because if you take it up here, right, you could have a nice risk to reward, have a tight stop above these highs, and aim for the full short. So other than this area, there was no real entry for the short, in my opinion. Here, trading the way I trade, at least, there was no real entry. So wasn't able to catch that one. And then second trade I took of the day was this long john right here, and this one was kind of chopped. It did take some time to play out, but it did play out. If we come over here, right, where was it? I believe my entry was right here. So this is the one I was talking about when I said when we start breaking with that 418 again, breaking these previous highs, we could take our long. And then we come here, boom, this candle happens, and I enter at 418 right here. So this candle was my entry. And the reason why I say this one was a bit chopped is because this was our entry, right? And I actually didn't TP up until here, around this area, right before these wick highs. So I was in basically all this chop here, right? And it kind of sucks being in chop because it's really indecisive, right? If I would have had a tight stop loss at these wick lows, say like 12-point stop loss, I would have got stopped out. But I had a like 25-point stop loss on this, and I didn't get stopped on this one. So I was able to catch this move. But you can kind of see how like this setup was a lot more choppy, and there's a lot more areas where you could get faked out. There's one wick, two wicks, and then it does play out. Your other entry on this could have been on the break of these highs here, and then you catch a small move. And then boom, price action happens. We try to break those lows. Oh. Where was it? So we try to break those lows. We kind of failed to do so here. You know, you kind of formed this little bottom trend line. There was actually another possible long here at this bottom trend line, right? Because just because you're making those lower lows doesn't necessarily mean it's bearish, because at this time it was just all these wicks were creating a lot of liquidity. We're kind of still in that bottom range area. So on the break of these highs, you could look for a long, and you would have been able to catch this nice little move. When we do start breaking by this 418 area right here, you can see we close above these wick highs, and we get that continuation. I didn't take that either, and then you would have been able to have a nice TP right around those highs in that 464 area. And you can see we did end up rejecting, failed to make a higher high there, and then we came back down, and I sadly missed this one. This was kind of like the setup I was waiting for the day. I wanted to see us take out these this 468 area to catch a short and these lows, and then I kind of just missed this short on the break of these lows, and then boom, we get this downside move, and it's a pretty solid move. Even on the break of that 468, from 468 to this bottom, this is almost like 50 points. So that would have been a really nice short. I was waiting for that all day to try to catch this, because this is the real lows you want to try to catch, right? This area is really where you actually want to long. This was a risky long near New York session. It was more so of a scalp / day trade, but this is your bigger picture area where you would want to catch a bigger picture long. So you can see we do come down here. There is no real entry, I'd say, until we start breaking back above this 368. This was also just pure chop. I mean, you could scalp this on the one, but on the bigger time frame, there was no real entries here. And then we break above our 368, break above these previous wick highs here, and then we get this upside move. I'm so salty I missed this. This was the long I wanted. And you can see the 5-minute was bottomed out flat, and I do believe that 15 was also bottomed out and flat. Yeah, so we bottomed out and we're flat on the 15. Holy rip on NASDAQ, bro. That is nasty. Fuck, I should have took that. It's a nice rippy.
So I do have a question about that big long. So technically, you're going to want to take it as soon as it gets above those highs. But wouldn't that be like almost a 50-point stop loss if you put it at the bottom?
So if you enter this trade and you're catching a long? Okay, so that's actually a really good question, because, you know, it comes down to risk management. Okay, so if I were to take a long on these breaks, continue. What were you gonna ask?
Well, I was gonna say also how the bands are topped out right now is that like Do we have to
Um,
wait to see if it's gonna break those highs or what?
so this 1 minute is still opening up, and then wait, are you talking about this or this? Like, are you
Yeah,
talking
that.
about right now or back here?
No, the bands.
Yeah, but back here during New York session, or are you talking about like the real?
No, like yeah, live right now. Or whatever.
The bands are opening up on the one right now, and
But right now you had it on the five and it's
in
top
the five,
loss.
it's not. It's topped out, but it's opening up. Remember, you don't want to short this until the band gets back inside the band.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, do we have to wait to see if it's gonna break that high, or did
Uh,
it break that high?
well, it's probably gonna approach that high, and then from there, we're gonna more than likely double top, and then the R side is gonna come back in, and from there we could see where our R side flattens out again and resets. Cause say now next time the fives bottomed out is around this area, at this 464, that could just be a bullish reset, giving us more room up. So Cam, on this one, right, on this long, it's a good question
Yeah.
because you're playing the breakout, right? If you're playing breakouts, it's more so you're kind of like not risking entry, but like you could get turned into liquidity when you're playing breakouts. So if I was playing this and I want it to be risky, you are correct. My stop loss, realistic stop loss, low of day, right? That is going to be your stop loss. If you want to be safe and don't want to put much risk on the table because you're like, oh, I don't want to get turned into liquidity and just get caught at the top. Remember, when would you start looking for a short? Think of it in this way. When would you start looking for a short on this?
At the top of the range.
Okay, at the top of the range, right? And then what would you wait for to look for a short?
Wait for the rejection of the highs
Something
or
else.
a lower low.
Yeah, so you would want us to see us start breaking lower lows. So if you wanted to, hypothetically speaking, you could set it at these lows or these lows, depending on how much risk you want to put on the table, right? Because technically
Because
these
that is a higher low.
exactly.
Gotcha.
So if we start breaking those lows, more than likely we're gonna go lower. But as long as we're holding those previous lows we made, we can have our stops like right under there. Because remember, most of the time, like there's counterintuitive to every trade. For every reason there is to enter a trade, there's a reason to exit the trade. Because in this area, some people might have wanted to play the short, and reasonably so. There was confluence for the short as well, right? You could think of it, oh, this 5 minute is topped out. We're approaching this key level, these previous wick highs, previous New York session lows. That was our support. Remember, support always turns into resistance. So this technically has both sides to it. Because say you would have created a wick and then reject and close back under. Now you could start looking for that short. Where people usually mess up is when they prematurely just enter without seeing what happens, right? Because say you would have waited for this candle to close, already you'd kind of be scared of taking the short. Because first of all, you're already closing above these highs. You're already closing above this 368, right? So there's not much reason to enter that short yet. And even if you wanted to wait another 5 minute candle to just see, oh, kind of want to see where price is going, you get this next candle. This next candle was still really bullish because we haven't broke those lows. We're higher than we previously were. And then now you're back above those lows. And then next candle, same thing. You wait for another candle close above 5 minute trauma now. Now we're right at these previous wick highs, previous wick lows. Still no real reason to short in my opinion until you can kind of see like when we get a full reversal, there's like never red candles, and when we get a dump, there's never no buyer candles. Like, and that's why people usually get cooked is because they try to catch the falling knife or the rip of doom.
Me.
So you kind of just want to wait for like price to start slowing down at least. Even in this case scenario, this rip we just had on Nasdaq, right? I bet you so many people just got turned into liquidity on Top Step because they waited for like they didn't wait for no candles. But now you get this juicy candle. Now I could start looking for a short, right? Reason being, look at these highs, right? Look at this. We made a lower high and we just created all this liquidity. Now it's 5 minutes trying to get back inside the band, trying to top out, come to our 15. Also topped out flat. So now I can start looking for short. So that happens. Now I come to my 1 minute. I'll see what are we doing on the one. Oh, would you look at that? We're trying to break median, trying to break back below this area.
Median.
Yeah. So now we could look for a short, possibly, not saying we are, but down to 1 minute trauma. And if we break trauma all the way to this bottom 430 area. And I mean, that long setup was there too. That long setup was 100% there. Last nice little trend line, hold up those lows, start breaking those highs. 5 minute was bottomed out. I was looking at those longs like right as we hopped on VC like 455. I was like, longs don't look too bad, but volume was kind of dead and volume just fucking spiked. But yeah, that's
Not gonna lie, I entered at 506 short.
506. Where was that? Right here. Did you TP or did you hold that, John?
I'm still holding to see if it goes to this range of that chop you're looking at right there.
Okay, so I see why you enter that, right? But there's a couple key things we want to note here, right? First of all, we're already above these highs. Right, with this candle, we closed above those highs. And then we kind of tried breaking back below, but we kind of failed to close. You see we make that wick, but they're holding this level. Hypothetically speaking, say we would have closed back under that 464, we probably would have saw a little bit more continuation. We kind of just failed to do that and broke these highs again. So if I was in this trade, and if I was in your shoes, Sean, right, how I would personally manage this is that wasn't a bad entry. Realistically speaking, if we're being real, that wasn't a bad entry. But the thing is, you got to have, in my opinion, good risk management. So what I would do in this case, I would have set a stop at that high. Right? I would have set a stop at that high and then look for a re-entry at the previous highs. Because you might be like, oh, but then there's a chance I don't catch it. But you're giving yourself more room for success if you do this. Because look, you get stopped out. Now you're looking for re-entry. You're saving yourself from 477 to that 510 area. What is that? That's like 35 points you're saving yourself that you're not going to be in the red for. I don't know if that makes sense. For example, yesterday I tried catching a short and I was fighting the trend. But when I fought the trend, I knew I was fighting the trend, so I had to manage it very accordingly. So I'll explain how I did that and how, I don't know if you guys remember in the morning, I said I took 3 losses and the one win I took this morning made up for all my losses. So I tried shorting these highs yesterday. So what I did was I set a limit order right at 384 because it was like 1 hour trauma. I tried playing the bigger time frame picture here, the short. We're right at 1 hour trauma. Where was it? Like right around this area. And these previous wick highs. So I took a short here. I sized really small. Reason being is if you're playing the bigger picture move, right? You're going to size small, give yourself room for a good stop, and give yourself room for the downside, right? I wanted to target this 306 if we catch a nice little double top up here. And then I gave myself like a 10-point stop loss. Reason being is I said if we break this hourly trauma, we're more than likely going to see that 418. And then I could look for a re-entry at that 418. So boom, that happens. We break hourly trauma. I get stopped out. And then I look for a re-entry up at 418, right? So for me, stopping out and looking for another re-entry, I saved myself 20 points of possible red. Like, if I would have just held, I would have been red an extra 20 points for no reason. Because clearly, you see the chart, right? You stick to your strategy. We're breaking the highs. We're breaking key levels. There's no reason to stay in a trade if it's not valid. So I stopped out, looked for my next entry, which is 418. I didn't enter up here. I didn't have a limit order set. I waited for us to come back down and close under, and then I entered around this area. I did see some green. I was up like 30 points. But I wanted to catch the bigger picture. So at first, when I entered this 418, I originally had a stop loss right above 445. Reason being, I gave myself room for a wick, right? But once we started breaking these lows and this happened, I slowly moved my stop loss to these previous highs. And then once we started breaking these highs here, I moved my stop loss to break even. And then I ended up taking a break even trade here. You kind of see how I managed my stop loss and everything according to what price was doing. Because at first I had a really long stop loss, right? But when you give yourself an area to move your stop loss to somewhere that's valid, such as these highs, because now if we break those highs, we're more likely to see continuation, which we did. And then I moved it to break even here, because if we break this, we're more likely to see continuation to upside. You can see I kind of saved myself there. Like, yeah, I mean, long term, the short did play out, but I would have seen so much red for no unnecessary reason when you can just look for a better entry. Like in this case scenario, right now, if I was looking for short here, I would want to see a break this 489, because this 1 minute is trying to bottom out and just reset. See what this 5 is doing. It's still overextended, still kind of opening up. We want to see it fully curl back in. If we do take a short anywhere around this area, the one good thing about this trade is you could have a nice hard stop loss just above this previous wick here. So that's the one thing I do like about this trade, when you can have a stop loss that makes sense and you're not too worried about it. Damn, gold, that was the fucking wick of doom on gold.
Bro, it was so close to my TP, and it stopped me out. But I was trailing.
Yeah, but that's kind of just a recap of all the trades we took today. Kind of same gabagoo every day we're going over. I don't know, it's kind of probably getting boring to you guys at this rate. We're just literally every day, if you notice the trend, we're just repeating the same shit over and over again, waiting for highs, lows, break of highs, break of lows, topping of RSI with the bands, bottoming, breaks of medians. All the same gabagoo at the end of the day. Just rinse and repeat and getting good at it. any questions about any of the stuff we went over today, any of the trades I took, any reasons why I went long instead of shorts at specific situations, things of that nature.
Hey, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. That was how they taught us in the army, just repetition over and over, the same little things to the big things. And also, is there any way that maybe you could take a paper trade to show me or show us exactly how, like if I have 5 micros, because, I've been going 1-to-1,
Uh-huh.
and the trades have been going way past that lately, and you were talking about trimming. Can you like take a paper trade to show us like how exactly do you trim, right? Like if you have 5, then you set a stop loss and what, sell 3, like if you're in a
If
short,
you
and
if you're in a long, you sell 3. But if you're in a short, you buy 3.
how do
So
how do you
on
sell them? You just hit the sell button while you're already in the trade, or what?
So there's two
You
ways to
just
do it. If you're trading
uh,
on Top Step, there's the order book. So maybe I'll make a YouTube video explaining that, or like go over like how to use the order book. But on Top Step, there's usually something here where it has the sells and then the buys, and then you can put your buy orders and sell limits. So wherever you want to trim, you would just set an order there, and then you can click it, and it sets one, and then it would trim and set it there. The fuck? My Discord just crashed. Yo, can you guys hear me? My fucking Discord just crashed.
Yes, sir.
My fault.
I would buy one at one level and then leave my runner, buy one at another level.
Okay, Mr. Desmond, good case scenario, right? Say for some reason you entered a short up here, right? Like you top ticket anywhere around this area, right? Hypothetically speaking, of course. You now can set your stop loss to break even when you get a candle like this. Reason being is now you have the possibility. If you set your stop loss to break even, more likely than not, if we come back up to those highs, we're going to break those highs and see a continuation. So that in this case scenario, if you were short here, you were to kind of have a good stop loss here. And the trimming thing, it is a really good question because a lot of people do struggle in trimming. So I think we'll do that in real time. Like I said, I do want to start trading more live with everybody here during New York session. Today we'll be more locked in tomorrow. Today was kind of a fucking slack off day. We weren't really like fully locked in. We'll be locked in tomorrow fully, and I'll explain like if you enter a trade here how you would manage your stops at TPs, because I mean risk management was one of the key things. So we'll kind of start going over that more, how to manage positions, because that is very important.
Okay, cool.
And
thank you.
one thing, Desmond, right? 1-to-1s. You don't always want to aim for a 1-to-1. Yeah, it's nice like when you're first starting because like you risk 100 to make 100. But in some cases, you could risk 100 to make 200, risk 100 to make 300, because like you said, in some of your cases, you get a good entry and then you sell way too early and then you miss the big shaboing yoing move. If there's reasons for that big shaboing move to happen, right? You want to give yourself room to like catch that. Like you don't want to sell yourself short, right? Like when you were in that short, hypothetically speaking, that short you took the risky entry, right? Where you were trying to top ticket, which was I saw why you took that short and it made sense. Like it was good entry. If I was in your shoes, I would have just put a stop at that high and held until minimum at least like 5-minute trauma.
Okay, cool.
And then at that point you would have been risking like basically nothing for possible 30 points. So I mean, even if you were risking your $100, 10 points for 30 points, that's risking $100 to make 300. You know, that's gonna
Yes, sir.
It's gonna be more beneficial long term than just 1-to-1s. But it is good that you are just doing 1-to-1s for now.
Okay, cool.
For sure.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now, I was just gonna ask, I don't know if you said it already or not, still working. Um, if you're gonna go more into detail on like risk management, like different ways other than the ones you've covered, if there is any.
That's more of a like completely different topic. That we could go on hours about that. That doesn't so much come on the charts. That comes more as a just mental thing, like having
Like your personal risk
yeah.
tolerance.
That's probably the hardest thing to teach because there's no right way to teach that. Everybody is completely different. But we'll have like a separate day where we go over just strictly risk management. But that is definitely one of the hardest things to teach because everybody's financial situation is different. Everybody's risk tolerance is different. Some like for example, some people don't want to blow an account no matter what, which is completely fine. You know, they want to make an account last. Some people are fine to risk a lot on an account and possibly get funded within a week or a couple of days. It's all different for everybody. So one person's risk management won't be the same for another person, but we can go over the simple basics of how to actually somewhat like survive in the markets, if that makes sense. Like where you're not being a fucking jackass and like having unrealistic TPs, unrealistic stop losses, like sizing heavy for no reason, things of that nature. Like what's actually a decent size on like 50Ks and what can work long term, stuff like that.
Hell yeah. Nah, that's real. That happened to me, bro. I would just put the fucking TPs way down low at first, and like, bro, that wasn't gonna happen. And I get
Yeah, like there's no reason like, and it's true because I see people do it all the time. They'll have like fucking 300 point TPs and they'll be like, we're gonna hit this low, and I'm like, what? Like, where do you even get this information from? Like, how did you manage to get like a 300 point TP? Like, it's just crazy.
facts. I just be putting that shit.
950. Just remember that.
Yeah, 950 candle. But we'll definitely go over like how to find realistic TPs and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Like all finding realistic TP stop losses, it all comes down to the strat, everything. You know, our levels, our price action, our RSI, things of that nature. All this helps us identify all those things.
Hell yeah.
No, crispy.
Yo,
Somebody just tried to break in the house. I was about to air his shit out
right now.
earlier, like at 3.
Oh, shit.
I went
Yo,
to
Chris.
Pollo Loco to get some food for my girl. I got out the car and they pull up hella fast. And I lock the door and they come in like try to come straight in.
Hmm.
I was just waiting for them to try to kick the door down. Fuck.
Bruh.
Tony, is
Yo,
everything okay, bro?
Huh?
Is everything all right, bro?
Yeah. I'm just like I was just about to fucking
Nah, don't
shit.
do nothing, bro. Just leave. Hey, the best self defense, bro, is de-escalating a situation and leaving, bro. If somebody call you a punk or whatever, man, at the end of the day, the mission is to make it home. You have a girl and kids, bro. Fuck all that.
But I am home. They're trying to come in the house.
Oh, well, that's different.
That's what I'm saying.
hey,
That's different.
Crispy.
Yeah.
For my evaluation, I'm like, well, I got my drawdown to negative 300 so far, but my eval ends in like 9 days. Should I like I'm sizing 2 macros right now. Should I up it like 1 or 2?
Be real with yourself, Lorenzo. What do you think?
I think I can.
If you got 9 days to
Yeah.
be passive funded, 5 micros, that's 300 points.
Yeah.
9 days to pass a fund there?
I think that's doable.
What'd you say?
I think that's doable.
All right, bet.
But you
With
gotta,
5 micros or how many
yeah,
micros?
5 micros definitely. It's possible.
Yeah.
You're just
Okay,
gonna
cool.
have to. You're actually gonna have
Appreciate
to take trades though, cause like, if you take like maybe one trade or no trades a day, it's gonna be hard to pass that. But yeah, you just wait for
True.
the good setups. You know, if you're doing homework and
Yeah.
shit, you have the charts open on the side. Wait for that setup. Wait for those highs, lows, top of the ranges, bottom of the ranges.
And
Sounds
don't think
good.
about the money.
And
Please don't be like me.
just think about the setups. Catch the good setups. And we actually
You
forgot
got
to go
cooked?
over today.
Hey, Sam, you got cooked?
Well, yes.
Like more than what
I
you already
cooked
got cooked?
myself.
Like,
Yeah,
did
I
they
told
cook
you
you
this
well
morning.
done?
Like, fucking burnt, bro.
Over to
Yeah.
Crispy. Can you go over all the just like go can you go on the RSI and just show us how like all the divergences that you see and like ones that you play?
Yeah. So today wasn't really too much of a divergence filled day, I'd say. I think the
Yeah.
main ones might have been like just on the 1 minute that I really saw. Um, let's see. Yeah, I mean, there really wasn't much. The only one I could probably think of is like this one when I took the long. And then at these highs, other than that, I don't think there was much today.
Hey Chris, what about at 6:45?
6:45. This one, this little one.
On
Oh,
the
oh, what time frame?
on the five on the 5 minute,
6:45.
because I think that's where I got into a short, right? Like the band.
Oh,
Correct me if I'm wrong,
are
right?
are you talking about like this one right here type of thing? Like,
Yes, sir.
so that one was there. It was a bit more like cheeky because it was like kind of. It was like technically there, but it wasn't like so clean. Like you would more so
Okay.
just say at these highs when we started doing this right here, right on the R side, and break these lows
Yes,
on the
sir.
R side, and then we had that level on the R side. See look at our key points on the R side was right when we topped out there.
Okay. Okay. All right. So
You remember how you
it
talked about
wasn't
that one
quite the
level?
divergence, but yeah.
There
There were
was a
main.
now that I'm looking at it, there was technically a bigger divergence from here to here. I didn't see this until now actually. This bottom one, unless this is the one you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Like from
Because
here.
that's where I took one of the
Actually,
shorts after it broke that,
there was
and
like
then
this
I
big
saw all
bottom
the
divergence here.
yes.
So there was that bottom divergence, yeah, from basically New York session low all the way up until New York session high. Yeah, I didn't peep that one actually. That was pretty good. 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. And you can see once we did break and close, retest, held under median, we did get our dump. But Mr. Galaxy, divergence, right? Sometimes that 1 minute will be your best friend on these divergences. If you come and look at basically every move that happened today, right? There was a divergence of some sort for every move, basically. Right, look at the 1 minute right here. Oh, this is 5 minute. Oopsies. That was the same one. So you can see we kind of had a divergence for all of them. Even like this long here, this bottom divergence. This long here, this divergence. This long here, this divergence.
Hey, Christian.
This long here, this divergence. Just Mr. Tony.
So like, let's say like, could you tell me like, what do you do like when you first open the market? Like what's
Yeah,
the first thing
so
you do? What the first things you do when you open the market?
always just
Goon.
yeah, that, and then grab your pre-market highs, pre-market lows, whatever it may be. Always important. In this case, pre-market high, pre-market lows, right? Always want to know where pre-market high, pre-market lows are, and just look at your previous range, see where you're kind of trading at, right? In this case, I knew this was going to be our range when we start breaking under, and now you gotta be ready for both case scenarios, right? You gotta be ready in case you break those lows, in case you break those highs, so you can know what trade to take. So off rip, First I was looking for longs, right? And then if we would have ended up breaking those lows, I knew I was gonna switch to shorts once we broke under this 468 if we did. So you just gotta kind of make a plan for yourself, right? Hypothetically speaking, because I was looking for a long around this area, but just because you're looking for a long doesn't mean that long's gonna play out. Sometimes it just doesn't play out, and then trend breaks, and then we see more continuation to the downside or upside depending on situation. So I was ready for both case scenarios, right? Hypothetically speaking, say we come up here and then start breaking these lows, I would have took a short on the break of those lows, right? Hypothetically speaking, on this long, we approach these highs, I'm going to TP and see what happens at these highs. In this case scenario, we continue breaking those highs, and I sadly missed this move, but if I was able to catch this move, I probably would have. If, I was more ready for that move, I just kind of happened and I missed it, didn't get a good entry on it. But same thing here, right? Now I'm going to wait for these highs. Kind of have failed to break already, 3 wicks on this 5 minute. So we'll probably look for a possible short here. It's 5 minutes fully back inside the band, flat now. Come to our 15, fully inside the band. The band is still kind of opening up on that 15. So we might just get a little retrace on this 5. Now we'll check our 1. This 1's overextended and already at 1 minute trauma. So I don't really see a real entry here. I wouldn't take a short here or a long. I just wait. There's no real good entry.
Can I share my screen and just like ask you to,
yes.
or like ask you questions?
Feel free, Mr. Galaxy. Let's see what you got cooking up.
Hey, Crispy, so what if I already got in at 505? My bad, Galaxy.
A short?
Yeah.
I would just probably have a stop at that full high. It depends. Are you trying to day trade it, or are you trying to catch the bigger move? Are you aiming for 20 points, or are you aiming for 100 points? Like, it depends on what you're trying to play.
No, I'm just trying to make something quick.
Well, I would just probably stop loss break even at this point, because this one could just reset and then break out. Because we still haven't broken the full low. We still haven't broken 1 minute trauma. This 1 minute's already bottomed out. I personally would just have stop loss at break even at this point. Or at least at that previous high at 515 if you want to be somewhat risky. But this 1 minute's looking like it's already trying to reset and curl back in. Alright, Mr. Galaxy, I am watching. Let's learn from Galaxy.
Alright, so would you consider like stuff like this a divergence?
Not yet. Not enough touches. It's not clean enough.
You look for like at least 2 or 3? Or...
Yeah, it has to be like somewhat like of something clean. Like, you see how there it's kind of like just lumpy. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, it's
what
not
time
like
frame is
really...
that? Oh, 4 hour.
This is a 4 hour. Yeah.
Okay, since that is the 4 hour, the 4 hour is a bit different because it's a bigger time frame. The bigger time frame divergences will always look a bit more funky. Like, for example, that long one, right? If you look back from like median from, or like there's so many, it's like I can't like click on your screen. But so if you look at the last time we were bottomed out, right? Like not there, but
right
like
here?
Yeah, right there. You see that, like how we make that low and then the next low and then we start breaking. So you could look for a longs on the break of that high on the RSI for the bigger time frame picture.
So the break of these highs?
Yeah. So if you scroll down a bit, like to price action, see what price action was doing around that area, a little bit more to the left. Zoom down. So yeah. Okay. So you can see we kind of like when that second wick up happened on the RSI, and then we come back down, we make that wick, and then we kind of chop. It was technically like not there until like you can see how the break of median lines up with the full break of the highs, right?
Yeah.
So it just depends on the situation, because like in this case there's no real like there's nothing much on this 4 hour other than that median break. So you would come down to your hourly and then your 15 to see what your hourly and 15 are doing. Because realistically speaking, the only thing I would be able to like say from that 4 hour that I'd confidently look at is we're coming back inside the band and trying to flatten out. Other than that, there's not much that I would be like looking at in that scenario. But now look at our 15.
So would something like this be considered a divergence?
Not so much. More so, you were on the right path. That wick low to those like 2 other RSI lows. I don't know if you see them. Move it up just a bit more,
right
like right there. I would consider that more of your divergence. And even then, if you look to your left, you see those wick lows, that wick low, like that little area of consolidation on the RSI on the left. That bottom divergence, like there's a little bottom
Oh,
divergence
right
on the left.
here.
Like, yeah, so draw from the left all the way to your low on there. That would be like all the way extend that
Like
zone. Yeah,
this.
that would be your divergence there. That would be your good
So why
divergence.
is that a divergence? Is that like
Look at
one
price
of
and
the
then look at the
types?
RSI, right? You see how we're lower on the RSI and price is higher?
Or it where? Right here?
Okay, go to that wick low.
What do you mean? So
Okay, never mind. I was
this
looking
window?
wrong. Okay. Go to the bottom wick. See what price is at the bottom wick. Yeah. Okay.
Right here?
So in this case scenario, you would more so be playing. This was Nvidia, right? This was when Nvidia earnings came out. I believe.
No, Nvidia earnings was like actually, yeah, I'm not sure.
Was it last Wednesday
Yeah, I think
Tuesday?
that was Nvidia earnings. 'Cause I do remember that one. That was on the 4 hour as well, if I'm not mistaken. But that one was a quick dump, and you would have been able to actually catch the bottom of that long because of the 4 hour, if that's the one I'm thinking about. What date was
Yeah,
that?
it
Was
is.
that it was Nvidia earnings?
It's Wednesday,
I think it was, right? August 20th? Was that Nvidia earnings? Just
25th.
make sure.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of dependent on news as well, because that was just kind of a wick, and we created a lot of. I just wanted to check if it's Nvidia earnings, because that was a good trade, if that's the case. I think it was August 27th. Wait, August 20th. Reports have to close Wednesday. Oh no, 27th. So earnings were 27th. So that wasn't Nvidia earnings actually. But you kind of just have your little RSI. That's technically a divergence from like let me see on my chart. What is that? August 20th. So I can explain it on here and show you like what I would look for. August 20th on the 4 hour, right? August 20th. Okay, so August 20th, right here. Boom, alright. And we're looking at the 4 hour, so. Was the chart you were looking at the 4 hour, Galaxy? Oh no, hourly. You're
I was
looking
looking
at
at
the
the
hourly.
hour. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, no. I think.
August 20th for here.
Yeah,
Okay, I found it.
that wasn't Nvidia earnings. That was
Yeah,
something
it was the
else.
week before. But yeah, so this is the divergence I would consider. Like if I was looking at this, that's the divergence I would consider it. Because now we're holding this. And you can see if the bands are opening up in this scenario, which they might have been in real time. I don't really know because I don't really remember this price action. I can't say. But hypothetically speaking, if the bands are opening up in this scenario, you would want to short the break of this. Right? This is
Okay,
typically
so
when
is
you're.
it a divergence because price is like way higher than what the RSI was at?
Well, technically in this scenario, the RSI is lower, and the price is also lower. So this would be more so you want to play the break of this. In this case, it didn't break though. Cause like let me find an example where these break. When these breaks, you usually get like your insane dumps. Like for example, like I don't even see price here, but this was probably one of those scenarios where if we would have also broke this, we would have dumped. You'll usually see this on your RSI, where you'll overextend, come back in the band, and make this little divergence, right? And this is when you try to get like a reversal, so to speak. And you can see, like I didn't even look at price. I wasn't even looking at price. That's exactly what happened here. It's usually after a big dump, when you finally start consolidating. Usually there's two things that happen in those scenarios, right? One, you break the highs and then you fully reverse. Or two, you come back down here and break those lows and reverse. And you'll notice that on like big days where there's big dumps, it always forms this little like divergence, so to speak. Like right here, you can see we tried forming that little divergence there as well. It's probably the same thing after a big dump when we come back inside the band. Let's see where price was. Yeah, see, same thing here. We dump, come back inside the band, try to flatten out and get a reversal. You'll usually see that on the 15 on the bigger time frame pictures where you like get a big move to the downside or upside and then start forming that divergence. Same thing on the top. You'll see those divergences form on the top as well. Let me find an example in the hourly. Like something like see if I can find a good example. I can't really find a good example of the tops, but it'll look something like similar like that, but the opposite way. Like on the top, you'll form that top divergence. It'll look kind of
So it
like
just
this.
overextends and then chops.
Yeah, I mean this is kind of an example of one, but it's not too good. And you can see that divergence also at these highs. Like it's usually at the highs and lows where you'll create those divergences. There's not really a good example of the highs anytime recent. I guess right here kind of is your best example. You kind of have this little divergence here at these highs. And then, you know, divergence has both sides to it. You could play the rejection or the breakout. In this case scenario, it was just our rejection area. And it's kind of tricky to say because the candles are already closed in real time. This could have been breaking and you might have been able to catch a scalp with this wick. It just kind of depends on the situation. But you can see how this kind of just rejected at these highs and then rejected down here and then made this low, and then same thing here. We kind of made a little divergence here and then ended up holding for the time being and then broke it later on. But I don't so much play divergences on the bigger time frame pictures. They do present themselves, like it's not that common. It's like really uncommon. Like I think on the 4 hour in the past couple of months I've maybe played like 2 divergences on the 4 hour. It's just not as common. Oh, this is actually one that I did play. This was where was it? It was this one. This was the Nvidia earning ones.
Yeah, I saw that too.
This is like the only one I played recently. So Shoboing here. Other than that, there really hasn't been much divergence. I guess you could kind of say almost one right here today, or like not today, but it kind of broke out like in this week. This one kind of. It's not like it's just kind of. It's not like it's just kind of aids. It's more so RSI levels on the bigger time frame pictures. Because you can see, look at the wick lows, right, on the RSI. Look at the highs. You're more so looking for your key RSI levels on the bigger time frames. That's why we don't really play like divergences on the bigger time frames. But I mean, they do play out because you can see this high to this high, right? Look at where price was. This one would be kind of a sign of a bearish divergence there, because price is now higher and RSI is the same spot here. But you would more so just kind of consider that your RSI level at that point.
Yeah, I'm just asking because I'm like, if I start swing trading.
I get what you mean. You don't want to like look for stuff that's not there, and that is definitely a thing where a lot of people do get kind of confused with this. They'll be like, oh, isn't that a divergence? But you don't want to kind of overcomplicate it to the point where you're looking for a divergence everywhere. Because to be fair, divergences aren't that common. Like they won't happen like every like hour or so. Like, you know, sometimes there might not be, like today in New York session, like we said, there wasn't much of a divergence today in New York session. Like on the 15, I really don't think there was a good divergence on this 15, other than like this little double top on the R side, so to speak. But that was kind of pre-market and it didn't even play out, so there was like no real divergence on this 15.
Alright. Can you look at my screen again? I just want to ask you a few more.
Let me see. So that one's kind of a bit better. The one you have drawn there is like.
But if you look at price, it didn't really do much until like earnings came out. Is that?
When was this? August 27th. So see, that's the thing as well. Sometimes news will just push that divergence to play out. In this case scenario, it also depends on real time what's happening. Because in real time, there's a lot of wicks there, so we don't know if we like tried breaking that divergence and failing and then closing above those previous highs. But it looks more so like you'd just be playing the bounce of that divergence on the hourly. Reason being is you see how the R side did overextend on that big wick on the left and then come back inside the band and then hold.
Right here?
There and the previous wick. It literally like it kind of basically rinse and repeated. You see how it kind of rinse and repeated basically the same shit? How we overextended, came back in the band, flattened out, and then held that like bullish divergence. Hypothetically speaking, say we would have started breaking those lows again, and then that divergence starts to break, you could maybe see, like, if you go to that left, like where it's at, I think that's August 26th, 25th, yeah, right there. Draw it from there to that like first So when we were overextended on the RSI, on the bottom,
Mhm.
or even there, that see like that, but the opposite way as well, right? So you see that on the bottom as well when we bottomed out. Say for some reason you break those,
So
it could like that could be
right here,
no, on the right. Uh, that
right
low,
here.
yeah. So that low to first to second low, the second first low, like literally just that, yeah, right there, right there. So hypothetically speaking, that like just to the first low, draw it, not to like third and fourth. When you first see that, you kind of want to see what happens there in those scenarios, because it could just end up breaking and then seeing more downside, especially because now the RSI has more room down technically, and you are now at lower lows than you previously were. So you always want to see if you're kind of just
Okay.
in bearish resets or bullish resets. You can see like from that previous RSI high to the next high, we're not necessarily bearish or bullish. We're still in the same range if you look at all the highs. The first bullish reset we kind of started having was when we finally made that new high. But when next time we bottomed out on that hourly, you could see we were actually lower. So then that would kind of invalidate that. You kind of had no real resets here. So if you don't see nothing on that, you'll kind of just zoom out to your bigger time frame and see what's kind of going on. So if you go to a 4 hour, you check what's going on. Because you remember like how we talk about when the RSI tops out and bottoms out, you want to see if price is higher than it previously was. If you look at every time RSI was bottomed out and then topped out, it kind of was around the same area. And when we finally made that new high, right? When we came back down to that RSI to bottom out once again, price literally went to those same lows. So we didn't like generate no bullish reset in that area.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
But
What about
if you go over
this?
to your right now, this is kind of an example of the resets to median. You can see last time we were top down the RSI, right? Like recently on the hourly. If you go to hourly, like all the way to the right, you see how
Right
we came to
here?
median and held median.
Mm-hmm.
Not that time,
Right here.
the recent time, yeah. So this is our first touch of median. So that means buyers are still present and we held median. And you can see it lines up right with those previous lows. Say sellers would have stepped in heavy, we more than likely would have broke median on the hourly and then started breaking those previous lows on the left side.
Okay.
But after you
Yeah, because
see
I think
we
that
create that
actually
wick
did
and
take that long.
yeah, so say hypothetically speaking, you wait for that candle to close, see we hold median. Now you want to see us start breaking those highs, and now you have room from median to the top of the band. And in this case scenario, the band is curling up, and it looks like it wants to open up, and it still has room up. So we could get a, honestly, it's looking like we're gonna keep seeing more upside. And then this could actually be the first bullish reset we've seen in a minute, depending on what happens when we bottom out next time, because the bands are now tightening up and moving up. Because like we were previously talking about, right? Look at the last time we were bottomed out on the RSI. Look at where price was. It was right at that
Right here?
23,034, yeah. So look at that, and now look at the last time we were topped out, which is right around these highs, right? We'll see where we do end up topping out. Not that time. That wouldn't be considered a top out. The reason being is we never reset from there. We never touched median. We never bottomed out, right? That would
So
just be
would this be a top out or this?
that one. That point. That point is your real top out.
Oh, okay.
Because you see from when we finally did that, the band started flattening out, and then we get our move to median. For it to fully top out, you want to see your move to median, or at least at least to median, mainly the bottom of the band. Your full reset will always be the top of the band to the bottom of the band, but sometimes you'll just get your reset from top of the band to
So
median or
where
bottom of
would
the
you
band to
take your
median.
trades? Would it be off the top of the band and then
Depends on the
down to median?
situation. Say, because I mean, there's always going to be bears and bulls in the market, right? Say you're more of a bearish trader, you're always going to want to take your trades at the top of the band or the break of medians to the downside. But say you're playing the overall picture, you would look at the scenario. In this case, you could technically take a short there because there's reasoning, right? If you have a level there, if you're on the previous wick high, stuff like that, it kind of depends on the situation. I mean, that hourly median came in really clutch with that 306 area. You can see, like, if you were trading the bigger picture and just looking at it, you can see that lined up perfectly with that 306 area.
Yeah.
So you can see, okay, on the bigger time frame, this hourly closes under that 306. We're probably going to break median on the hourly and see maybe a reset to 23,174. Because now, if I was looking at this on the bigger time frame, next time we get a big retrace, I'm expecting us to be higher than we previously were. Because the bands are now moving up and giving price less room to the downside. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining that right.
Yeah, it does. So it's just giving it more room up, pretty much.
Yeah, it's giving it more room up and less room down. So it's basically bullish for the time being. Because now when the next time the RSI is bottomed out, the bands are going to be higher than they previously were. So price is more than likely going to be higher than it previously was when it was previously bottomed out at that 20.25 RSI area right there.
Okay. So again, this would this be considered a divergence though?
Yes,
Because
that would
it is
indeed be
pretty
considered
tiny.
divergence.
What about right here? From
That's
here
kind of
to
more like a funky one. That's more of a funky bob one. I wouldn't. I would more so just consider like that first touch and second touch your divergence. See what happens from there. If that never like breaks or you just hold it, then I'll just consider that and leave it at that. You never really kind of want to force anything because then you start seeing shit on the chart that's just not there. Like if you look at this, I don't even know what time frame that is. I see a little bit of divergence here. What is this? 15. If you look at the left, you see those 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 4 little like wick highs on the left side right there.
right
That
here?
yeah, that John. So you could tell right off rip that's a nice little divergence we have forming. We've rejected it 4 times. When we finally do break, we might get a nice little pop. I don't know if that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, that is kind of what we did. Yeah. But in terms of RSI, not in terms of price action, right?
It depends on the situation. So draw that divergence, see where it lines up to with price.
Right from here.
Yeah. So
like
right
this?
there, yeah, that John. So, okay, look at the first point, the highest point. Where was price at?
Like, it was right here.
Okay, where was the second touch at? Right around the same
area. It was
area.
Higher.
Yeah, so it's right around the same area, and then third touch. Where's third touch? It's lower now. Fourth touch, lower. Okay, and then yeah, so
we did get a small pop and then just
fucking shit the bed there, and then you did end up forming another divergence when you did shit the bed there. Do you see that divergence? Let's see if you see that divergence.
Is it? Wait, is it this one?
No. See, you could say that's there, but that's just kind of more funky. Remember, there's another one. Let's see, on the bottom there.
Is this it?
No.
See, I actually tried like shorting based off this one yesterday, so I mean, I got the move that I wanted. It was just down to this level, and then it just reversed. But
go to that full bottom and look to your left. You see that like little trend line from there to those 3 little wicks. So that's the middle of it. Yeah, that
from here
to that. Yeah, that Johnski. It's just basically like think of it as like just an area of support where price is holding. As you can see, that one kind of doesn't really align with jack shit with price wise, because like I mean every time we touched it, price was lower. So you just want to see what happens. And you can see if that did break, if you zoom out, that was an RSI level that I do have there around that area. You see, you see how that RSI level lines up there, so that's a key level. If that would have broke and that little divergence would have broke, we probably would have easily flushed like 100 points minimum.
Okay, and then things like
I will say the divergences. Look at the 1 minute. That's probably your best way to practice them.
Okay.
Because you see that bottom divergence that we just drew on the 15.
5 minute, I don't see a single I don't see.
Yeah, you see how we drew those bottom divergences. You see how many of those there are on the 1 minute, and then you see how many of those reversal bottom trend lines or bottom divergences there is on the 1. Like look at that big rip on the 1 that we had today, right? If you zoom out, you see that little bottom divergence.
Yeah.
But I would definitely practice divergences on the 1, because you could just see them play out in real time and shit like that, and then see what price does compared to those. What are you trading on, by the way? Is this a laptop? Oh, I think bro got sniped, bro. The feds got him. But if anybody wants to share the screen and ask questions about divergences or price action, anything of that sort, feel free to ask, because seeing what you guys actually see makes me like be able to see what you guys are looking for, if you guys are looking for the right stuff. So you can see Galaxy was looking for some of the right stuff, but some of the stuff he was also looking for were kind of just like not needed. So you never want to look for stuff that are kind of just making it more like more possibilities for fake outs.
Yeah, I am trading on an iPad.
Yeah, so you can see right here we're kind of forming divergence there on the 1. You see that divergence?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna show.
Right here?
Yeah. So draw that out, Galax.
Because prices.
Let's see how you would
Okay.
draw that one out. I want to see how you would draw that one out. Let me see you draw it out. Let's see what you draw here. I want to see what you draw.
I guess one right here. Because if it were to break it, wouldn't it? What?
So yes, that is your yes and no. That's not the one I'm looking for, but that could be a possibility, right? Remember, we want to line
What
everything
about
up,
this
right?
one?
We want to line up price with the RSI. We want to use both counterintuitive. Yes, so that's what I would want to watch. I would want to see us break that with the break of the highs for a possible long. Right? Hypothetically speaking, say we don't break that little divergence we have right there. And for some reason the RSI overextends and the bottom band opens up and then we start breaking those lows. Then I would be like, okay, now we're breaking that bottom divergence. The 3-wick lows that you drew out. I wouldn't draw it all the way to the end. I would just draw the bottom area of that.
So why not the
Like-
top?
Because that's just like zoom to price where those previous highs were, and you'll see it was like before that rip, right? We're trading this little new range. We're not trading the previous range there because the RSI on that lines up to that, but we're trying to trade this
So,
consolidation.
Is it because this is lower than this?
Yeah, so that just kind of doesn't line up with what you're trying to trade here on the one.
Mm-hmm.
You can see how all those highs on the top one line up with price at those highs now. So you want to see a break of those highs with the break of price action highs and a break of median for a possible long, or the break of those RSI lows and then an overextension. And if you come over to our 5, we also want to see what our 5 is doing, right? We don't want to just base a trade off the 1. So we'd also want to see what that 5 is doing. If we look at our 5, we do have a bit of a divergence here. Let's see if you spot it. Let's see if you spot it, buddy. This one is kind of one we...
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue.
Look at the highs
Would
on
it
the
be
left.
that top shaboing?
Yes, the top shaboing indeed. So look at the left where the previous highs were, right? Where we were looking for that short area. Yes. And then look at where we now are. We are giving ourselves more room. If we do break those highs and the RSI overextends and opens up, we're giving ourselves a higher price point than we previously were. Yeah.
So if it were to break,
you don't even have to like draw that divergence. That's more like RSI just level divergence, because it doesn't it doesn't have to be a trend line for it to be a divergence. It does not have to be like a trend line. That's just one form of divergence, and that's where it kind of gets complicated. It's funny because like every time I'll talk to Inky about divergences, anytime I would like draw a trend line, he'd be like, "Bro, that's not a fucking divergence. That's a trend line." It would just be like he would just be trolling, but because in reality a divergence is something that's diverging, right? If you search up the actual definition of divergence, it's when two things are diverging from each other, right? And you see how price,
Whack-ass definition.
yeah, so if you see price where the 5's topped out now, and then where price was previously topped out here, price is now higher than it previously was. So this would be your divergence here in this case. There's no trend line or nothing like that, but we have our divergence. So this is like when people trade the, what is that Shaboing thing called? SMT divergence, whatever that shit's called. I personally don't do that with NQ and ES, but think of it as like that, I guess, is the closest way to consider these divergences. Like they'll be like, oh, NASDAQ is higher than ES, or ES is breaking the highs and NASDAQ isn't, that type of thing. I don't do that with NASDAQ and ES, but I look at the RSI compared to price on divergences like that.
Okay. So would this technically be considered one or no?
For now, yes. You kind of want to see with what happens, because now I can almost predict what's going to happen just because I've seen this happen so many times. We're probably going to break these lows, come all the way down to these highs, and then our RSI is not going to be bottomed out where we previously were, or a little bit higher, and we'll just get a bullish reset and try to break these highs again. Realistically speaking, we should have probably broke these highs. It's looking like, yeah. If this was New York session, we more than likely would have broke those highs.
Because you know the Forex lady I was telling you about. She said that she was selling like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, so yeah, I think she's right. I think we got to retrace, right? It's really hard to break big highs and big lows during pre-market is something you'll realize. Most of the time, we stay in a range. Like even this breakout of this range was really surprising to me, because usually you'll stay in a big range during pre-market because there's just not enough volume, right? For this to happen, for a breakout to happen, there has to be volume. And for a breakout to from the previous New York session high of today to breakout, you would need a lot of volume for that to happen. And that's just more than likely not going to happen. What's probably going to happen is we might come back down lower, create some liquidity, and then during London session, get enough volume to fully break the high. But for now, I don't think that breakout's going to happen. You'd be eyeing it though, because you never know. You never want to say fucking, oh, that's not going to happen, because it definitely could happen. For some reason, if volume picks up right now and we start breaking that high, we could definitely see some continuation. But from a realistic standpoint now, right, we look at our 5 and 15, they're topped out, flattened out. It's not giving, this 15 is slightly opening up, it's trying to curl back in, you can see. But it's just not giving us much room. And now we could form this divergence here. Hypothetically speaking, when that 15 comes down, we could maybe form divergence there and then hold that and bounce to the top of the band. It just kind of depends on the scenario.
Okay. Previously, like, for example, a divergence I would play would probably be like this, and then I'd probably get a small move and then just get absolutely obliterated.
Wait, let me see. I'm not watching your screen.
Like right here. It's just like random stuff that it's not really.
Wait, show me that divergence. So, okay, that divergence is on the 5 minute. All right, let's zoom into price. Zoom into price when that divergence was happening. What time was that?
I think this was around the open, right?
Yeah, could you go and hover over the candles around that RSI area to see what time it was? That was 7 a.m. today. Yeah, so that was like right before pre-market open, right? Yeah, so that was kind of some bunk ass shit, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you don't really want to draw that divergence because it's kind of in chop. Nothing has happened. There's a divergence that you should have drawn though, that you're kind of missing there. The bottom one's more important in that case.
So these lows right here?
Yeah. So draw that, John. Yeah.
You could probably extend it.
Yeah, there we go. So that one would have been your more important one, because you could see when we tested that on the RSI, on all those wick lows created those overextensions, right? Those overextensions just kind of create a lot of liquidity there, and you want to wait for a break above median for that possible long, John. And you can see when we finally did break median was when we actually got that full breakout. So just because you see something like that doesn't mean, oh, I'm gonna long it off this, right? You can, but you want to wait for other signs of confirmation, because you never want to take a trade based off the RSI. Never.
Is this considering holding median right here?
That's a rejection of median. Because you see how we tried breaking above? What? You see how we tried breaking above median and we failed to break above? That would be a rejection of median. So now what you want to wait for is that would be your RSI bottoming out, flattening out, and now you want to wait for that break of median.
Okay.
And you could kind of see it was kind of really chopped today. That wasn't like really a clean break of median. That was kind of like, even like a bear was long. I was long there too, and he TP'd way too early. It was just because like sometimes like the setups won't be as clean. This just wasn't really a clean setup. Like usually when median breaks, it's just straight nice little clean breakout. Maybe we'll get a rejection and retest and then get a clean break. But when you do get that clean break,
because I was actually in longs from here. And what happened was it went up and then it just came all the way back down.
That was that big fuck you candle. That was literally before that candle, I TP'd. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people probably would have thought, oh, now we're going to reverse, because that sell-off was nasty. It really was. And then
I mean, I held through that entire thing. So.
Okay, so that's at least good, because you had like that means, I'm assuming you had a decent entry if you were able to hold through that.
Yeah, I did. I caught like almost the bottom.
Okay, right, so that's good. So, and I see your levels are basically almost, I think, identical to mine. 370, and then you have that 418.
Yeah, I just watched the video and like tried to find the same
you can
stuff.
see how they kind of came in clutch today, like that 370 areas right where we held. And then I mean, after that big sell-off candle, like, I wouldn't be looking for shorts just yet. I was looking for shorts, but like not the entry, if that makes sense. Like, you kind of are in the aspect of, okay, now when we break those previous lows at that 370, I'm gonna look for a short entry, right? Yeah. So in mind, after I saw that candle, I was genuinely in my head, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a short on the break of this 370, but it just never ended up happening. But that doesn't mean because I was like, oh fuck, I missed a short, I'm gonna like chase it now at the high or something. No, it was a setup that presented itself and it just didn't play out. Same thing with that long when we came back down to that 464. You know, it was presenting itself, but it never got the juice to play out. So you never want to force the setup. If it doesn't give you the confluence to take it, never want to take it. Because there was good confluence for that long that I like that 464 on the retrace, 5-minute median, 5-minute trauma, previous highs, but there was just no confirmation, and just all depends on the situation. And then I kind of see another divergence now that I'm looking at it on this 5 with that bottom trend line after that big dump. You see that bottom trend line with the divergence on the 5 on the bottom?
Right here?
No, left. So you have that like little slant drawn trend line here. Yeah, that one. And then you see the RSI lows kind of make that little divergence right there. It's kind of.
Isn't it like straight though on the RSI? But so would that be a confluence to continue dumping?
If it breaks, yes. And you can see when that did break, it fucking shit the bed.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the break of these lows, and then that would be the break of this RSI too.
Because remember, there's technically like every divergence is gonna have both sides to it, like. But there's a way to identify if it looks more bullish than bearish. If you rather want to play the longs and the shorts, like for example, that one in the pre-market, I would want to play the bounce of that. Once it does break, though, I'm gonna definitely flip short. But I would more so want to play the longs before the shorts on that John. For example, if we come to price right now, we're at 5-minute median, right? In this case, I honestly wouldn't like the short here. I think we do dump, but I don't like the short, and let me explain why, right? It's just that risk to reward really isn't there. You can see from the top of the band to median now, how many points is that? That's like 5 points on price, right? Like 10 points is nothing. So what's looking like is going to happen is it's just going to be a bullish reset. We're going to slowly chop, come down to the bottom of the band, reset, and then end up breaking those highs. And then I would want to play the long on the break of those highs.
So what if it comes down and then the bands just like automatically fully open up and
then I would be like, oh hell no, I'm not long in this John. So you see, I have a plan, but I don't have like a guarantee. Like I'm not 100% gonna take this long. I'm planning to take this long once I see the confirmation, but I'm not gonna say the second we bottom out, I'm longing. Like there's just no reason to do that. The second you start doing that is the second you'll start having losing trades. Or like you say, the second we break median here, I'm shorting. Yes, you can maybe catch a couple points, but it's not gonna end well because like there's no real there's not enough confluences. So this is the 5-minute, right? Now we'll switch over to our 15 because our 15 might tell us something else. Who knows? So if you go to our 15,
real quick, when you were talking about the topping out and bottoming out, would this be considered a top out because it went to median after?
So the second touch is more your top out. You'll notice that every time we get overextended, like almost every time you'll notice there's like 2 touches. There's basically the overextension, and then the RSI comes back down just a tad bit, comes back up, and then flattens out. Like every time we get over, so you see right there, you get your little lumpy John. Yeah, you. Sometimes it won't though, because if you look at the right of that, it never got that little lumpy John. It was kind of just a straight sell off.
But, right here.
Yeah, most of the time you'll get a little lumpy John. Like you can see during the New York session high, we got that little lumpy John. We start consolidating a bit at the highs, it gives it room, and then a little dumpy. Same thing at those other previous highs when we got that little sell off. We get the little lumpy John and then a little dump. And this 15. I mean, look at that band, bro, right? Like, if you're shorting this, you're kind of being evil here because it still has plenty of room up.
Yeah.
Wait, for NQ?
Yeah. No, well,
I'm evil.
It depends, though, because there's both sides to every trade. Who knows? You could be right. Bigger time frame picture here, right? If we're looking price action-wise, what have we failed to do? We haven't broken those highs, and we made a lower high. So technically, as long as we don't break that high, the short is valid. So right now,
hell yeah, I gotta stop at the high.
Yeah, as long as we don't break that high, that short is technically valid. But I just don't think there's enough like confluence for any trade right now. You're just kind of gonna stress yourself out here. But I would just wait.
Yeah, I mean, we also did fail to get above these highs, I guess.
If we notice something on the 4-hour John too, we're breaking median, and we broke that previous RSI high, and we broke a 4-hour trauma. Haven't closed it before 4-hour trauma, but remember, I mean, kind of want to just play the trend. I guess trend was long John, but this is technically trying to catch a top, so it's kind of better. We do have a divergence here on the 5 that I just did peep, Mr. Galaxy.
Not enough for you.
Take a look. I didn't even notice that until now. Do you see it?
Is it like this big thing from here to
here? Yeah. We got that,
John. Upper or lower?
We got that little bottom divergence, John. So we'll see if we hold it. If not, say we break that, and then the 15 flattens out, and then overextends, we could get a dumpy, and then cam short will play out. Because price action wise, that short is looking good. If I was looking at this from a price action aspect, I'd be like, oh, we failed to break that high, and now we're gonna wait for this break of this low, which is happening right now, for more possible continuation. And that kind of lines up right with this 5-minute divergence here, so we'll see if that breaks. Because if that does break, we could maybe even chase that short, possibly. This 1 minute's kind of ass though, not much on the one, just little 10-point range.
Yeah, I was only up like 9 points.
I mean, 9 points is a decent amount for after hours, I'm not even gonna lie. So
Yeah.
that's one thing too.
I forget that.
New York session after hours, two completely different beasts. Like after hours
Right.
kind of
And
cheesy.
my 2 micro fucking struggle is that's $30 with 10 points. So I'm like, yeah, that shit's tough.
Yeah, I mean, if you entered at the top, it should be fine, right? Because then you would just have a stop, like 5-point stop, maybe 6 point.
Yeah, I didn't. I entered like below trauma at $4.99.
So, Crispy, for this long, from here to here, how would you have caught that?
Which one?
Or is it
Let me see.
this one?
The 5-minute? Wait, show me that one.
Or with any time frame in general?
That big long shaboing, the one, like the rip of doom.
Yeah, from
So
here
first
to
of all,
here,
just
because
think
I
of.
caught that on paper,
Uh
but
huh. Well, okay. How'd you catch it on paper then? Let's hear it. Let me first of all. Let me hear it.
so I just saw we were like making higher highs, right? Or no, higher lows.
Uh-huh.
And then at first I had actually a divergence drawn out here.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know if that's a good one or
Yeah,
not,
that is good
but
divergence. We
I
held that
saw,
divergence all the way through. So.
yeah. And then I saw the bands opening up, and I
Mhm.
was like, okay, let me just try longing. And it got above trauma as well.
All
So I
right.
think I entered somewhere around here. And then I had my stops below these lows because I wasn't willing to risk like below here.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, if you notice something, our big trades of the day today, if you go to that 5-minute, came from the topping or the bottoming of the band, right? And this is when waiting for that band to finally flatten out comes in clutch. Because remember how I said
Okay,
every time
so
we
it's
get a
because it's
reversal, we
bottomed
kind of
out.
get that little fucking. Like, it's almost like a. Like,
Like it's overextension and then kind of chop and
yeah, and then price chops with it. But this is where a lot of people get faked out as well. Sometimes these could just end up being H patterns, right? And it's kind of like.
I mean, wouldn't it have to come up to H, or can
It
H pattern
because
just be like this? And
it technically could come up to that previous high of like that 370 and then H. And you can see it kind of did wick that area 3 times. It's
okay,
a
because
lot.
I had TP right here, and then it just
That
flew
would
all the
be
way.
that would be a good TP or good trim, whether it be like I think this is like one of those trades where you could have full TP'd at that 370 and that would have been like a good TP because you really never know when you're trading. It's technically impossible to know where prices. You could speculate, but it's impossible to truly know. That's why it's one thing to explain it and it's one thing to actually trade in real time. Because now that it happened, it's a lot easier to say. Because I mean, on this 5, we were clearly bottomed out, right? And then we start breaking those highs, and we close above that 370. And now you can say, yeah, so that happened, so it's easy, like long. But in reality, what could have ended up happening is we could have easily aged, failed to break that 370, and made lower lows. But if you look at the bigger picture, right? Remember, the bigger picture will always show your bigger thing, your bigger moves. We have failed to break that pre-market low and those previous lows. So even though we are lower than
Oh
our
yeah, another question.
yeah
What do you consider as pre-market highs and lows? Would it like also be Asia stuff
yeah
or
Asia
no?
from 3 o'clock. So
Okay.
if you notice something, right? We never broke below that Johnski.
Mm-hmm.
So that did hold. So even right now, I'm bullish, like overall, because like there's no reason to like be shorting when the market is bullish. Just wait for the long setups, in my opinion. And that's one thing I realized, bro. Like back then, I would just try like short, long, short, long, short, try to catch every move. But sometimes you don't have to catch every move, and just waiting for the more simplicity is just the easiest thing to do. Like if we're in an uptrend, right? Like why try to catch the top of the uptrend when you can just ride the uptrend all the way up? And eventually the uptrend is gonna die out, and then we're gonna reverse, right? But that's gonna be a one-time thing when we finally do top out, and then you can stop playing your long Jones. Because it's as simple as waiting for previous, for like the past couple of weeks, it's been as simple as waiting for the previous levels of support. You wait for it to retest, hold. Previous support turns into your previous resistance turns into support, and it's simple as longing that. And the only day that didn't work in the past week has been Friday. Like if you look at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all week last week, it was just a bullish week up until Friday.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's
Can you
why
take a look at Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, yeah. So this worked for Bitcoin as well. Bear caught a nasty long, so this will be a nice example of those divergences that kind of confuse people. If we go to Bitcoin chart, it was Friday at close, right on the 15. I remember this shit because that shit was juicy. It was a nice one. Bitcoin 15 at like 1 o'clock New York time, near close. Where was that? Friday, right? Friday.
Didn't it dump on Friday?
Yeah, at close, New York closed. Where was close at?
Like here?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Boom. All right. Zoom into that Johnski. What time frame is this? The 15. All right. Do you notice anything? Maybe zoom out, like stretch it a bit more. Like, yeah, that way. More. So we can dissect this area here.
Wait, so the strategy you said also works for Bitcoin or just the RSI?
The whole strategy.
Oh, strategy? Is it because of like it kind of follows Nasdaq a little bit?
Because
I heard
Bitcoin
it kind of does.
is like a institutionally traded thing, like Nasdaq. Yeah. So basically, it's the equivalent of Nasdaq for crypto. You can't trade like meme coins with this shit though, because it doesn't follow the same concepts and like things. Like you could trade Solana,
Yeah.
Ethereum, Bitcoin, all the major cryptos with this strategy.
It's more based on conviction too.
Yeah. All right. I want you to. We're not gonna leave until you explain this galaxy. All right. Find this divergence. Find it.
Divergence? Okay.
Yes, and there's other stuff on the chart too that you could possibly be missing. I don't know.
Oh, this long. Okay. I guess.
It's like it's pretty simple, man. You know, don't overcomplicate. That's all I want to say. Don't overcomplicate that, John.
Is this a divergence or? I don't
Not
think
the one
so.
I'm looking for. There's something else on the chart. There's something on the chart that a lot of people like. They don't draw these Jones out. Cam likes these things a lot. She's a fan of these Johnskis.
Trend lines?
Yes, there's a trend line.
Yes. I feel special now.
But there's a special type of trend line that a lot of people like forget exists.
Look, Cam.
Okay,
Like
we're on the right.
here?
Yeah, there we go. All right.
So do you take the wicks into account or just the candles?
Both. Both. Right. Trend lines. That's why I was telling people trend lines could be a confusing topic because a lot of people go, "Oh, you see that wick? It broke under the trend line. What the fuck? Why didn't it dump?" Right? But no, trend line is just kind of to identify, the price action at the end of the day. It's just help you see, see the visual representation of what's going on the chart, right? Okay, so we have that trend line, all right? We have one of many things down for the setup. Let's keep going and find more possible reasons for a long John here. And you can see this is at the bottom of a range, right? So we're catching a bottom here in this case scenario.
Yeah.
So let's see what else you...
Yeah, I don't know how you would have catched that though. Because it is technically all the way in the bottom.
Okay. What else do we have here,
But
Miss Johnsky?
so price right here is higher than here, but the RSI is higher.
Okay, wait, go to the 2 points you pointed at. Which points were they?
So right here
Huh?
compared to here,
Mm-hmm. Okay, before that
and
happens,
then
something
if you
else.
compare it to
Look at. There's a little bit of a divergence, little goober divergence, small divergence, little goober divergence.
right here and here,
Yeah. All right, there we go. Now we're cooking. Yeah, goober
so
divergence
RSI
there.
is lower here, and then price is lower here but higher.
Mm-hmm. So we could draw that out, and then we have a nice little divergence.
So what would you do if it does that?
So, like at the end of the day, we have both our setups for our divergence, the bullish side and bearish side, right? When it comes down there, you're gonna see what price does. In this case scenario, we had that trend line. Just because it's touching, I'm not gonna instantly go long, right? I'm gonna wait to see what happens. So boom, it bounces off. Okay, now I'm gonna see what happens. I want to see that break of median after we hold that, and then I'll hold to this trend line, right? And if we come over to our 4 hour now, there's something on the 4 hour as well. See if you spot it on the 4 hour, and there was something on the 5 minute as well. And this is the way bear trades it, right? I'm explaining a setup like bear took. This is a setup bear took, Mr. Bearman. Okay, on the 4 hour we had something as well. Let's see if you spot what was on this 4 hour, John.
I mean, would this be considered as a divergence? No.
No. Okay, there we go. Now we're thinking. The thinker. Zoom out. Yes. Look at the bigger picture here.
So from here to here, this is our RSI level.
Yeah. Look at those two low points on the RSI. You could see this little bottom divergence forming there on the RSI.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that
bottom so divergence. Every single time it came down to level, it pretty much bounced.
Yeah, and then
right here,
also
here, and even right here.
Yeah, also had a level there. And then for the actual breakout, right, knowing how to manage this position and knowing how to trim, come over to our 5 minute. Look at the 5 minute Joneski. And go to Friday close, like right around that area. You're gonna have to zoom out quite a bit. Yeah, okay, so we come there.
Oh yeah, I caught the short.
Oh, is the short playing out?
Let's see. Did it drop?
It finally H'd. I was just waiting for that.
Right.
I mean, technically, there's no reason for me to close, but I did. My reason is I'm tired and.
It's actually good, bro. It's better.
I was about to say you sound tired.
I actually want to go over that trade in Cam. Don't leave just yet. I want to show
so
you something.
Is this bottomed out on the 5 minute and then?
Yeah, and then we start to do what?
I guess chop and then
break
median.
And then the band starts opening up, right? And then the band starts to flatten out. Okay. So when the band starts to flatten back out,
so if the
top
end is opening up, so if the top end is opening up, does that mean there's room up? And if the bottom one is opening up or down, there's room down?
Correct, depending on where the RSI is at.
Okay.
And then you can see.
So
we
like
tried
if
to
one
break
of them
out.
is flat and one is opening.
Continue.
So if one is flat and one is opening, is that the same thing?
Yeah. So if the top band is usually opening up, that means the bottom one is curling up.
Okay.
You could usually see.
I have a.
Yes, Mr. Critic.
Yeah, so right there where he's like pointing at on the RSI, is that what you're talking about? So when it touches the band, usually it has like a little bounce up and then continues to go down until it flattens out.
Yeah, so you
is that
can
what you're talking about? Like right there?
Yeah, so you can see it tries to, because hypothetically speaking, say we come back to that and then break, right? And we have some continuation. We could have kept fully flushing, but ended up holding and starts breaking those previous highs. And then that's when you actually get the entry around that bottom. Like you can see like right before like right before we started breaking that trend line is when that happened, right? So we just created liquidity, and then the second you start breaking those previous highs, you could look for your entry and try to catch this bottom on this Bitcoin long.
So would the previous highs be this?
Yeah, so you could take on the break of that.
And hey, come on, bro, just ready.
Catch that move, and then you can see like technically we didn't get the full breakout here. We got a little scalp, right? But hypothetically speaking, say volume would have picked up and that 5 would have kept opening up, we more than likely would have somewhere upside. But you can see we ended up projecting right at that previous RSI high. If you look to the left of that, same, it's basically made a little double top on the RSI.
Right here?
No, on the breakout, on the from the full breakout, and you can see it kind of just chopped. Yeah, look at the next time we topped out, it was the same area. So end up just trimming and then getting stopped out of break even on the rest. But remember, the bigger time frame still looked bullish, right? So now you zoom out to your bigger time frame and see what happened. You can see that the breakout did end up happening.
So where exactly would that be?
On the 4 hour. You remember that divergence? That gabagool
But
divergence.
isn't that technically, like, if you look all the way from up here, wouldn't we technically be?
Yeah, you're also breaking that top divergence. That top divergence did form. But remember that OG divergence we were talking about, the 4 hour on the bottom? You see how it never once broke even though we chopped all that time? You see that bottom divergence?
This level?
Yeah,
right?
If you look at from that point to all the little touches on the divergence on the bottom, it never broke it once. And it held.
Yeah.
So we held that divergence all throughout the weekend and then finally got that breakout. And then price action wise, there was another confluence as you start breaking those previous highs. And then that's a good point, buddy. That trend line, top trend line, you break top trend line. And it's still looking really solid here. We're probably gonna retrace to maybe that previous wick high and then hold. Like right around trauma.
You retrace up here?
No. Go down to that like big wick on that sell off candle. No, higher. Like it's kind of around trauma, like on the left.
Right here?
Yeah, one. Yeah, we'll probably come around that area and then hold. Which we've kind of been chopping around that area, a little bit lower.
Yeah, I'm actually in a short, but it's like just chopping around my entry.
Yeah, I will say if we fail to break that high, then this could just be a topping, but it does look kind of bullish on the bigger picture.
So if we fail to break this high?
Yeah, because now we're making a lower.
I think I have my stops like right here at 700.
Yeah. And Bitcoin's pretty good for trading like CFD firms, because if you catch a nice move on a CFD firm, you could make a lot.
But you can trade Bitcoin CFD like we're
like funding pips.
CFD.
What else? That's like
is that considered forex?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my first TP I have like is right here, and then one right here. I think 110,800. It's just a small scalp for retrace down, but
yeah, I do think a retrace is due. It might not be much, but I do agree. Let's take a look at Nasdaq. See what Nasdaq is doing. So I haven't even checked.
I do have yet.
And then boom, look. Okay, so Cam, that's what I was gonna say. It's actually good that you TP'd, right? What were we talking about earlier, Galaxy, on that 5 minute, if you remember?
It was being a bit cheeky from my team.
Held the divergence.
Look at that, John. Right?
Yeah, that's a sexy ass divergence.
Yeah, you didn't even move that divergence. You drew that earlier, and look, it bounced right off that, John. Right. So now what's probably gonna end up happening is we're gonna try to
start opening up and break median. Would you look for a long?
Yes, possibly. But this could also be a possible retest of median, rejection, and then we break that divergence. Technically, there's still no real entry here. Anything in like here, if you didn't catch that top was probably the only setup you could have taken here. Reason being is you're trying to catch a big double top. But in this case scenario, anything between that high and that low we've now made is just consolidation. There's no real entry here. You'd want to wait. Remember how we have our top of the range, bottom of the range? Now we have this is our new range. Draw that range out, Mr. Galaxy.
So from here to here?
Yeah, so you'd want to wait for a break above to long them Jones, and then or a break below to short D Joan.
Yeah, I didn't have the best fill. And I kind of got scared because I was like, damn, did I just fucking short the bottom of the range like a fucking dumbass again?
Yeah, but no,
But,
it could have been a good short
but
if we would have broke that divergence. That short could have for surely played out.
So let's say we break the divergence now. Where would you look for an entry
Probably on the break of those
on
lows.
shorts?
Like realistically
So
speaking,
the break of
you could probably set a
these
limit
lows
order
right
right
here.
there at that low. You could literally set a sell order. I can almost guarantee you if we come back to that low and touch it, it's more than likely going to see some continuation, at least that previous wick low. I wouldn't say to do it, but okay, so say hypothetically speaking, you set that, right?
I think it's a sell stop, right?
Yeah.
I did that with my paper trade yesterday and it fucking hit and then only was red and stopped up.
Yeah, so that's what I was about to say. Sometimes you could also get double gold fucked and turn into liquidity. So in this case scenario,
It's okay.
say you wanted to play this, right? You want to short there. You could literally set your stop loss at that previous high, and then aim for F464. And you can see we're coming back to that divergence right now.
I do get a question. So just to clarify, the divergence like on the chart
Let me just see how much I'm
is like and the divergence is basically the RSI dropping right now to where the trend line is, but it's higher on the chart, correct?
Yes, and then it'll just be that break of that divergence. And it's just more so a trend line on the RSI. On this
Okay, so
one.
just looking more for like a short because of okay.
Yeah.
So if you see like the divergence like going up, it's more of a bearish divergence, right? Like you're looking for a short.
It depends, because in some cases, like this is where a lot of people make a mistake, right? They see that trend line basically going up and they'll think it's a bearish divergence. Technically, it's a bullish divergence until it breaks, right? So that's why.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I see what you
until
mean.
this breaks, it's technically a bullish divergence.
Yeah. So
But
you're looking
say
for the bounce on that trend line.
yes, but say we reject it
If
like we
it's
just did
okay.
right now, fail to break above median, come back down, we're more likely gonna break that low and then see what happens. Remember, Galaxy, this is more of a risky trade. Reason being is you're playing the chase of the breakout. So I mean, if this does fail, I could tell you how I personally would manage this trade. We could go over this John
So
right
where
now.
would you wait to move stops to break even?
So that would depend on what happens when we actually break that low. Say we get a fat wick like instantly and seller step in heavy, right? And you instantly are up like 10, 15 points. I would almost instantly just move that stop loss to break it. But say it's a slow
Okay,
grind.
because if it ends up reversing back up, it's
Yeah.
likely just gonna
create a wick.
continue higher.
Create a wick and fucking double go fuck you.
Oh,
How do you
okay.
get rid of this news thing? Because I can never see the volume at the time.
Yeah, and you can see, remember, if there's no volume and we're breaking lows or highs, usually it's kind of a fake out. And volume's kind of
Would
just
you check
dead.
for the volume on the 1 minute or?
I more so look at the 5 and 15.
Okay. So yeah, we did reject off 1 minute.
See, that would have been your risky biscuit entry, but I personally wouldn't take that risky biscuit entry.
That was my exact entry.
Yeah.
It would have just like literally went back to my entry and then went back down. I'm cool with the profit.
What the RSI is doing right now, it's just like channeling downwards, but it's not.
It's not doing much. Like there's like no real setup
Yeah.
here on the one. Go if we go over to our 5, let's see what our 5 is doing. Okay. What about that 15? So yeah, see, I would it sure looks somewhat valid. We just got to see a full clean break of that low. I just don't really like that band on the 15. That shit's kind of like hitting in the Dougie and shit. We'll see what happens. But hypothetically speaking, say for some reason we bounce here, right, Galaxy? Before, like, you see how buyers are kind of trying to step in. Well, we would just make that higher low, and then probably break that high, and then see the full breakout. And then if that's the case, then simple, just cancel your order. You never got filled. That's okay.
So, would you wait for a close under the low, or would you just enter on a breakout?
Depends how safe you want to be. Your risky entry would just be playing the breakout. Your safer entry would be a break and close.
Okay.
Because say you wait for that break and close, by the time that break and closes, we could already be at that like 460 area, and it just gives you no real entry, because it's damn near too late to enter at that point.
Yeah, but
you
something else I've noticed is
that area.
when the RSI does like this thing, it usually means there's a big move. I don't know if that's like
Just depends,
where it
because
just like channels
basically,
up or down,
yeah,
and
when
then it
it's
just
channeling up or
fully
down, it
opens
just
up.
basically means consolidation. So
Oh, okay.
like if you look at like all the like every time we're kind of like consolidating, you are right to an extent. It kind of does that shit, and then like you get an overextension. Like you look at the big rip of
Yeah,
today.
so look right here, it just kind of channels up
Mhm.
and then just fully ripped up.
Yeah, and because remember, everything above median is technically buyers on control. Everything below median is sellers in control. Take a look at that 1 minute. Technically, we've held under median practically for this whole consolidation area. That doesn't mean like
Yeah.
it doesn't mean it's gonna like fucking dump, but it is something to keep in
So
mind.
would this be considered a reset because
Yes,
price is technically lower here and
yes,
then it topped out on the RSI?
yes. That would technically be a reset. It's not necessarily a bearish or bullish reset because price is right around the same area. It did go a little bit lower than it previously did, but it's not like a full like you see how slow like how little price is moving, how the RSI is moving so much.
Mm-hmm.
That just means there's no volume. Like literally one little 1 point on fucking Nasdaq makes the RSI move like so much. So if we go to our 5, see what the 5 is doing. Still right at that divergence. It's debating, bro. It's being the thinker. It wants to hold.
It's being gay.
Huh? That too.
I used to draw these out as my zones when
Yeah, no, that's a valid zone. Like
because
that
usually
area,
yeah.
it would be a trim area for sure if you're short, or a
And
possible
I
long
think it's
area
also
too.
the 50% mark on
That was
Uh,
bisexual. Gotta go both ways.
yeah, it's looking like. Honestly, I would just probably cancel this one, Galaxy, at this rate. Like if this was me personally, I would just be like, this is eights. Like there's no reason to trade this. Like look how slow this is. You're gonna be stressing for measly ass 5 points.
yeah, and it looks like the 5 minute might also just like it could break the divergence, but it could also just bottom out and then continue.
Oh shit, I forgot. What is gold doing? I was in a gold swing. Oh fuck me. Let's see. 607. Okay.
Sheesh.
Did you swing buys?
Yes, I did.
That was a beautiful pump. Strong as rejection.
Yeah, you sound tired as fuck.
I'm laying down in bed. I have been this whole time, but now it's getting to me.
Alright, I'm gonna hop off and go eat dinner. I haven't eaten dinner.
Alright, yeah, I think that about wraps it up for
Think
today.
the game.
Great. Thanks,
Hell
Crispy.
yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a more we gotta get into real time trading. Like it's harder to explain shit when it's kind of already happened. It's better to see it live. We gotta get
To
into
be
the
honest,
live
this is one of
boxing.
my favorite sessions. It's
That's
great
good.
information.
All right, that's good too. Good to know. Hopefully you retain this information and doesn't go to fucking sleepy world. But
Nah, she's gonna be dreaming about this shit.
yeah, just gonna fucking see candlesticks.
I'm
But
good. I
I
dream
think
of
with
getting
like
liquidated.
if people have questions, I think they should do the same thing I did and just share their
yeah,
experience.
I think that's the best way to
It
kind
helped
of
me.
learn because I actually get to see what you yourself are looking at. Like for example, some of the stuff you were looking at Galaxy was really good, and some of the stuff is just kind of like, you kind of don't want to like over like think shit and look at every last aspect of it. But yeah,
I
I
get
think
it.
that about wraps it up. I mean, yeah, this is chops, bro. There's like no reason to trade Nasdaq right now. It's AIDS.
I think I'm gonna close my Bitcoin short too.
What are we at? 112 on Bitcoin. What do you
It
chart?
keeps
MBT
rejecting
or
it.
MB? What a Bitcoin do you
No,
chart?
no, I'm in Forex, BTC USD.
Nice. All right. Yeah, that's enough brain rotting on the charts for today.
Yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Thanks so much. I'll see all y'all tomorrow.
Hey, Cryptic.
Yo,
Good night, bro.
y'all
Galaxy.
take it easy, man. Good night.
Hey,
Oh
Crispy.
shit!
Good
You know
night.
what? I didn't even realize that it's actually kind of late for for East Coast people. It's already about 10.
Yeah, it's like 10,
Mhm.
They try
Bro,
to
11.
facts, dude.
they try